there. Well, it's because you were using that full block. But we've removed that aspect, so now you get the normal amount of revenge. Should help you survive better in group fights, be able to use those abilities quite a bit more. So that should be really, really useful.
Oh, nice. So I can now feed even more revenge.
Exactly, right? That's how it works. And then for Nobushi specifically, so hidden stance no longer pauses stamina regeneration when you hold it. Again, she can go into her hidden stance, get her stamina back. She only dodges really when you start it up. So she can stay in that stance, but at least she's not going to be like again stamina starved while she's in there and not having to really have a look at her stamina and go, oh, this is what I have to do. I have to be really, really careful. So you can go into it more often, hold it for longer, and get like those sweet options she has out of there a little bit more often.
Awesome. One more reason for me to avoid Nobushi.
Yeah. We all love Nobushi. Next we have Berserker. So
I mean, this is a short note.
It's a very short note, right?
But I'm seeing some words in bold.
Some words in bold, yes.
So I'm feeling like this isn't a simple change.
It's not a simple change, but it's a very significant one. So Berserker can now cancel the recovery of every single attack with a dodge at 300 milliseconds. So before, Berserker could only really cancel the recovery of a bunch of attacks into a dodge, but only on miss. And so with this, it's every single attack, every single time. And we really wanted to go towards that with Berserker because the hero is supposed to be a crazy attack machine that always attacks. Berserker has front dodge heavies, front dodge lights, side dodge lights, everything's enhanced, and it really fits the hero super well. Gives him a lot of movement, invulnerability rather, in group fights. A lot of you can do a lot of more stuff with that, right? You go attack somebody in a group fight, try to get peeled, oh, and I'm going to dodge away. And we felt super confident giving this to Berserker right now because there's no bashes that are super quick, that have like these really difficult moves to kind of deal with. So we were confident enough to give this to Berserker right now live instead of going to a testing ground with that because it works really well with the hero. It makes a lot of sense, and we're not anticipating a lot of difficult things.
Yeah, because everything with Berserker is really like flowing and fast, and then you'd hit this kind of chunky moment.
Yeah, you get into those heavy finishers, just boom, I'm stopping, and then I have to start again and start again and start again. So with this, like you get a lot more mobility and a much better flow there.
Yeah, and now we know why you can't give a Viking 2 axes.
Exactly,
they'll go berserk.
Exactly, they literally go berserk. That's the problem there. All right, next up we have Kinsey. So we've been doing a lot of changes to Kinsey recently, and this is like one of the final ones we're going to be doing for now, but I think it's one that was super well requested. Basically, this kind of rounds out Kinsey's offense in 1v1. So the chain light attacks now cause a medium hit reaction. They used to cause a light hit reaction. And we've also adjusted the timings from chain lights to finisher lights, so you can still dodge them, right? So you can't just go like light spam, and your opponent can't dodge out of them or whatever. But this might not seem like much, but this means that Kinsey can do the opener into Pommel Strike, into second into Chain Light, and then do that top heavy finisher that's unblockable, and it will no longer be interruptible at all by your opponent. So that's kind of like the final thing here. Where
Kinsey was lacking
if Kinsey gets his Pommel Strike, which he does quite often, then going to that finisher is super rewarding because then you force people to really, really deal with that mix-up. And then that finisher has like a lot of softening to do a bunch of different things. So it's super effective. It works quite well. And it gives the hero a lot more pressure in 1v1 situations.
Yeah, it sounds like it should break him away from being so reliant on that top-heavy mix-up.
Yeah, right, because before the problem was that because you could do it right, you had to always, I'm going to do the side heavies because they have armor. You had to commit to more things, whereas in 1v1 scenarios, it's not really optimal. It doesn't feel as good. So with this, at least, you can be sure you won't be interrupted by your opponent by a quick light, for example. That works. It's super, super strong. Gives him a lot more pressure, so that's good.
No, that sounds good. But yeah, so with the chain light attack,
yeah, with the timing. So the timing makes sure that the light finishers can be dodged. So because we give it a medium hit reaction, you could do like a chain light into a finisher light, and you couldn't dodge the finisher light. So with the chain link timing extended a little bit, it means that you can dodge those finisher light. We know like a lot of people like. It's important to be able to dodge in between some of those lights to give people a bit more breathing room. So that's why we also adjusted that there to make sure that things would be okay and that you wouldn't feel the pressure. And it also incentivizes you to use that top heavy finisher, right? Because otherwise, if the light is undodgeable, then sometimes you go, why would I use that top heavy?
Yeah,
so, Exactly right.
Forever.
We don't want people to complain about lifespan anymore.
No.
So,
Lifespan can stay dead.
yeah. Exactly. So Shaman.
Just faster, I
Shaman, the
guess?
left and right stance, Raven's Claw and Raven's Bile. So that's a soft feint from heavy openers and chains
Even
after heavy
faster.
finishers. So the
I just wanted
sides
better
used to be
traction for it.
466 and the top was 400. Now all three sides are 400.
Nice.
That gives Shaman more unreactable offense. We know from Peacekeeper, from Raider, from Aramusha, from Kinsey that those soft feints into really, really quick attacks work really well. In her case, it's a bleed that enables her to pounce and bite people and do like all sorts of cool things. Gives synergy with Nobushi, gives synergy with Peacekeeper as well.
So many.
So it's
awesome.
really interesting.
But
We
I
really
just
want
wanted
her
better
to be able to
traction.
like apply that bleed
this
more
is-
often,
this is
more
start.
consistently, and making it 400 should be unreactable even for our more crazy reaction players that we have. So that's really, really strong here. Gives her a lot more pressure in those situations and makes her quite a bit better.
Nice. Yeah. It sounds like she's going to have a lot better blood pressure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Her blood pressure's gonna go through the roof
Okay.
now. That's pretty good.
Chat's going to hate
All
me
right,
for
these
that.
are these
Oh,
are some
yeah.
W's.
All right, so Blackprior. So we've also adjusted Blackprior's light finishers to now cause a medium hit reaction. It used to be a light reaction. We've also adjusted the light finisher recoveries, so you have the same frame advantage as you had before. So it means the recoveries are a little bit longer, but it also means that if a Blackprior does light to you and then he spams light, your light will beat their light. Right, so that's the
Okay.
idea here. We really wanted to keep that aspect really, really strongly. That's a very important aspect of what we did with the core combat update a few years ago, and it's very, very important for us to have that. Because that's now a medium hit reaction, Blackprior can now do light finisher to bulwark into bulwark stance into bulwark slash without getting interrupted.
Ah,
Similarly to what we have with Kinsey, right? The
That's
idea
pretty
is
cool.
we want Blackprior to be able to flow more into more offense.
And like
as-
access that bulwark stance. a lot.
Exactly, right? And access that bulwark stance and be able to use the bulwark slashes a lot more effectively. Because part of the problem that Blackprior has is that he feels like a really 1-2 type of character all the
Yeah.
time, right? You
Now
do
it's just gonna
shield
flow
bash into
even-
light finisher, shield bash into
even
light
better.
finisher. And so having that flow coming afterwards brings a lot more variety, improves the overall flow of the character, and makes you want to use the rest of them a lot more to get into those situations.
Nice. So just kind of open them up.
Yeah,
bit.
And then
round
his
him out a
roll
little
catcher,
bit, right?
Tenet-
And
Tenebrous
also,
Thrust.
we've also adjusted Tenebrous Thrust, and you can now cancel its recoveries with a bulwark stance, which you couldn't before. We were trying to stay away from that a little bit, but now we're trying to go into something a little bit different. Yeah, you want me to?
Oh, no.
The mic. All right, I have to pick up a mic. So, all right. So I'm gonna be on this mic. Yeah. So that's it for Blackprior here, right? So we're gonna have that aspect here. Let's get
Nice.
to the next one. So we have a couple of other changes to other heroes. So for Kyoshin, we have Hakaze and Mujuno Kaze, which now cost 6 stamina. I said that really fast in Japanese. So basically, those are the Kaze stance, light, and zone attack.
Okay.
So they now cost 6 stamina instead of
Okay.
12.
That's good.
Works better. Gives Kyoshin much better stamina
So
economy.
much less stamina, like starved all the
Exactly,
time.
right? So
Gotcha.
that's it goes in line with what I was saying earlier, where we want those heroes to have more stamina, less like constantly out of breath. So that's a big thing.
Yeah, because Kyoshin feels like, okay, I did my thing. Now I got to like wait
Yeah.
a second.
Exactly.
Okay, now I did my thing.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Right? So with this, it doesn't completely you still have to watch your stamina, but it helps. Like every little bit helps. So every little bit helps there as well. Warmonger. So for Warmonger, Beast of Prey, which is her side dodge heavies, they now have extended dodge properties. So what does that mean?
Thank you.
It means that she has invulnerability frames for longer.
Oh
It means
my
she
gosh.
has tracking break, which is what we kind of
That's
call
gonna
when,
help her out.
whenever you dodge an attack, right? So the way it works is I throw an attack at you and you dodge.
It would
it
still
Kind
hit.
of breaks the
Yeah.
tracking I have towards you, so that I'm gonna miss.
But
So
now,
that's the idea here. So that tracking break is longer, lets her dodge attacks more effectively.
that's awesome.
Beast of Prey is really good in group fights. Well, it was kind of okay in group fights. With this, it should be much better in group fights. Let's Warmonger
just target switch
reposition,
this.
throw big, heavy
That's awesome.
unblockables at people, target swap them, do all sort of stuff, and be a lot safer while she does.
We always said she needs someone
Looking
with her
forward to
dodge.
that
That's
one in
great.
particular. Warmonger is
Yeah.
one of my mains. So
Then we have Griffon. So for Griffon, Helm Cleaver is now enhanced. That's dodge forward light. So for some of these heroes, and some people have probably noticed, and you probably noticed as well, In the past few seasons, we've been doing some incremental changes to some heroes, right? And sometimes it's like, oh, it's a little thing, oh, it's a little thing, it's a little thing. In the case of Griffon here, it's not the biggest buff we've ever done,
But it's nice
but at
because
the
you can
same
just
time,
kick after.
it's one step
That's
forward,
yeah.
right? And so we want to make sure that sometimes we do like these step by step, so we can do like a little bit and then evaluate. Oh, okay, well in the future, this worked well. So what else can we do to improve the character? What else can we do to improve the character? And go like a little bit slower in there. We're doing a lot more frequent updates with this, so it works really, really well. And that should also help Griffon get into better offense regardless. So it's still a good tool, and it being enhanced makes it that at least you're not going to get interrupted and then guard broken externally by somebody else. So that works.
Yeah,
That's
because I know
great.
in the past sometimes we'll roll out a slate of changes and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, 80% of those were good, but like these couple, now that's the focus.
Exactly. Right.
And so this allows us to just
Yeah, we go step by
ratchet
step,
it
and
up.
it works really well. Next, we have what looks like a bug fix, but it's also an improvement on Nobushi. So she can now do Viper's Retreat and Hidden Stance at 100 ms in the stance change. That used to be at 300 ms. So basically, when you change your stance, it takes overall 300 milliseconds. But you can normally attack after 100. And so Nobushi could not do Viper's Retreat or Hidden Stance until the end of that 300. And so to have a lot more consistency with when she can attack, when she can go into a Hidden Stance, we really put it at 100 ms, like what she would have when she attacks. Really helps her, again, have more fluidity a little bit here. And
It's
also,
just going to feel better.
yeah, she feels
Yeah.
better, right? Because the thing is, sometimes even for Hidden Stance, like, I do it all the time. Like because I don't go and adjust my dead zones like crazy, like some players do, which is I don't know, a great thing to do.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want to hit down, and then you were like a little bit too diagonal for some reason because you're not super accurate, like I am. I'm getting old, so. And then I hit the diagonal, and then oops, I changed my stance, and then I have to wait 300 ms before I can go into a hidden stance. So that's one of those buffs here that really helps that input comfort here. And then finally, Valkyrie. So Valkyrie's shield tackle no longer causes stamina damage. I don't know if you've seen. I think you have.
Yeah. I've
There's
seen
been
the
like
videos.
yeah, right. And there's been a big
Yeah.
tier list recently for Dominion, and Valkyrie is S tier. And so we love the fact that she's strong. It's amazing that we had a really good rework with her. Like everybody's super proud of it. But at the same time, she did not need stamina damage on a unreactable bash
Okay.
that deals a good amount of damage. For the risk that you take when you go into it, it makes sense to have that higher damage, but she doesn't need to cause stamina damage on top of it. So we've removed that stamina damage entirely there. So the hero is still strong. I don't see her dropping, but at least this should lead to a lot less frustration when facing her, because she's not meant to be a stamina bully. She's not meant to drain your stamina. And if she's doing it all the time, eventually she wears you down, and then it just gets frustrating. So we try to get away from that.
Yeah, the shield tackle has a lot of modifiers on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully missing,
That little
arguably the least of will,
Yeah.
we'll feel a little bit better when you're just getting kicked in the dirt. By
Yeah.